my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel video, everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. And in today's video, it's that time again. It's September 30th. I honestly can't, well, actually, by the time you're watching this, it's September 30th at, like, 4:30. And I'm making it like that because I'm not technically supposed to, I'm supposed to be at school on Thursday, but I can't because I have no transportation to school. I'll explain that in another video. Or I'll just tell you right now. My mom and dad are going away for a New York week trip for their 20th anniversary, so I don't have anyone to drive me to school. You have my 21-year-old sister, but she can't drive. It's fine, because some people her age don't even know how to drive either, so you probably have a sibling that's her age and that he can't even drive. And I have a friend that has a sister that doesn't even drive yet, or I think, yeah. So even though I am off on the day this is posted, I can't go to school because it's just I can't, and plus I can't walk, so I gotta stay home and do some schoolwork. But I'm still having this video out, but I am filming this September 26th just to get a little head start. But with that said, let's get started ranking all 9 new theatrically released movies that I saw in the month of September of 2021. So let's get started. Now for me, this is just a fine little kids horror film. There are some moments that I did like with the characters, I guess. The way the story went, the way the characters were, I just didn't really think this movie worked all that much. It was just mostly weak to me. I can't really talk much about it. I liked how they brought the girl from Jessica Jones, but everything else just seems pretty bad, so I do not like this one. So fortunately, this is not my favorite film of the September movies, but it was okay. So this is another movie that came out in the 9/11 weekend, one of the first movies I saw this month, and honestly, this is just kind of another misfire for me. It basically is, it didn't come out 9/11 weekend, but it came out the first weekend of September. And I thought it was an okay film. Michael Keaton was great. The way it kind of did the 9/11 stuff was pretty good, but it didn't really do anything interesting because it just felt like it jumped from character to characters to characters, and it just wasn't really necessary for that. So overall, it was enjoyable. I liked Michael Keaton, but that's really it. I didn't really like this movie that much. I'm sorry, but that's just me. Now, Malignant is definitely the first movie that I did like on this list, that I would actually give a positive score, but it was a negative, positive, something like that. And I liked this movie. It definitely just feels so much like the other films that James Wan did back, like Conjuring and Insidious and stuff, in which I like those movies. I'm not saying they're like I would say they're probably James Wan classics, because they can tell the stories right. I would probably say Insidious is one of my favorites. But for me, this movie just felt just so much relatable, where it has to do with the demon being inside someone. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that one of the last movies that James Wan actually made was Aquaman. And one of the things that I really liked about that film was the action sequences. And in this movie, the action is pretty well shot. Especially when you have, like, your hands backwards and you're, like, throwing chairs behind you. And it's just insane in the way the action is shot in this movie. So overall, I liked that part. Everything else just seems pretty generic, and another pretty generic James Wan film that I feel like we've seen a couple times before with Insidious and The Conjuring. this to me felt like it was trying to be. Now, what I liked about this film is, of course, the action was great. The girl from Birds of Prey that played Huntress, I was pretty digging her as this murderer, and how she had all these scars and bruises and stuff like that. It was just cool to see. But besides that, it pretty much just blah. It tries to be Birds of Prey, and it tries to be Gunpowder Milkshake. And I love both of those movies so much, and I'm not disrespecting them in any way. But Gunpowder Milkshake, well, it had a mixture of Birds of Prey, and it made it great. And that's what I liked about it. I liked the way it mixed in Birds of Prey, but still telling its kind of original story in some sorts. And it makes you care about the characters a little bit more. And of course, the soundtrack was great too. But Birds of Prey definitely did its original work. Kate, however, kind of did its own story, but I felt like it was trying so hard to be Birds of Prey and or Gunpowder Milkshake, and it just kind of failed at it. Though, for the first time, you actually have agents with guns, those people that are always shooting, that are the bad people. They're actually the good guys in the movie. So, that was surprising, and you actually get to see some pretty cool action where someone gets his head chopped off. But yeah, that's really everything I gotta say about this film. That's really all I gotta say. Now, Afterlife of the Party was a very interesting but confusing film. The basic premise is basically Victoria Justice's character dies, and she's been dead for over like a year, and she's trying to fix her mistakes that she made when she was alive. And I guess the premise of that is kind of interesting, and they did kind of make it work with the girl from, I believe it was Good Boys, one of the girls that had those drugs or the vitamins, whatever it was. And they had a nice relationship, as they literally, before she died, they were literally fighting. And it's crazy in the way the drama is. And it kind of gives Victoria Justice a bit of a character arc in the mix. So I like this film, but it was a bit mixed for me because where it ends with her going into like this heaven with this guy, which we saw in the movie before, but you weren't really focusing on that. So I thought the character development of that was just kind of wasted. But besides that, this was a lighthearted little movie that I enjoyed with Victoria Justice. After seeing her in Victorious, I'm thinking she could do other stuff. So I liked it. Now, obviously, this is an obvious pick that this movie is fantastic. Of course, what's his name? Macho. What's the guy's name in it? I forgot his name. Dang it. Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Clint Eastwood, of course, is great as this Western, as this cowboy or something like that. He's great at it. He can do the acting nice. He can do all the parts great, and the interaction with the little kid is of course great too. The Western side of things is also really good, as we also got Concrete Cowboy earlier this year, and it explored like the West Side, except with black people, and I thought that was very interesting. Granted, Cry Macho is not even as good as Concrete Cowboy, but it does most of the things right, and I thought it worked. So I thought this movie was very good. I don't think it's one of the best movies, but I do think it was a good watch. Just because of Clint Eastwood, because he steals the show. So I liked it. Intrusion was just a film that I personally just enjoyed. It was a film that just kind of gave me everything I wanted from films like this. Now, maybe it's just because my dad keeps watching Element, and almost every movie that comes on it's literally the same type of tone where the characters are different, the story is different, but the tone and the way everything goes is the same. And I mean, it's nothing like those LMN movies that my dad watches, but it's sort of similar to that, where the husband is just this bad guy. And for me, this is kind of like my Don't Breathe Part 2 movie for me of September. I mean, I haven't seen any of the Don't Breathe movies, but they are films that kind of give you what you want, with action and stuff that you like. And I thought there were some kills in this movie that were just great. The intensity of the stuff is just great. Like, everything, the way it kind of pays into it, you get nervous, your heart starts racing, and it's just incredible in the way they did it. So, I thought it did it pretty awesome. And when that guy's about to die, and he's like having this like reaction, and blood starts dripping down his head, it's like, oh my god, I've never seen anything like this. So I really enjoyed this film. Now, the Starling, another great, drama comedy. I don't think it was as good as, say, like Fatherhood, where Fatherhood was absolutely great, where they took. Actually, we're not talking about Fatherhood, but what I loved about the Starling, where it took these two characters with Melissa McCarthy and this other guy, and they took it and made it work, where they kind of have this drama stuff. They kind of explore their lives throughout this film with the way the story goes, and it's just a cool little experiment. The acting is absolutely fantastic. You understand what they're saying and why they're saying it, and overall, it's just a movie that I just enjoyed, and the way the acting was, the story went, I just kind of enjoyed it. Though the bird kind of reminded me of Penguin Bloom, and if you know me, I was not the biggest fan of Penguin Bloom. Well, I mean, I was, but I don't like the bird plotline in it. But everything else, pretty good. So I enjoyed it, but had a couple of issues in the mix. Okay, now that I'm finally talking about Shang-Chi again, this is kind of the obvious pick of what movie was going to be the best of this month, because everybody's just raving on this movie and saying it's just so much better than Black Widow, and I can definitely agree. It's definitely better than Black Widow. Definitely what I loved about this film was the way that it kind of did something new and different in the MCU, where they took this story about this father that trained his son to be this killer, and he does not want that. He's trying to run away from his past, and his past is kind of catching up to him, and it's explored greatly throughout it. And the flashbacks that we get, once again, I feel like the flashbacks are my negatives of the film, and they are, because it just kind of cuts, and then it cuts to a joke. But like the flashbacks, the way we do them, it creates a momentum for the characters. Of course, the action is absolutely phenomenal. Every shot in the action are absolutely great. It's all choreographed, very cool. I also really like the characters that we get introduced to. Shang-Chi also has, I will say this, his little character arc didn't really make sense, because of the joke that they made. And it doesn't really make sense. Like, I liked his character, but his character was just kind of confusing in the mix. Awkwafina as Katie, I thought was likable. Definitely not the best of her performance. I definitely liked her better in Raya and the Last Dragon, but she definitely played a good role here, especially with Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's sister, Starling, she's also fantastic. Especially, and I thought she was actually the best character in the film, where her father just separated her from the boys and wouldn't let her train with the boys, so she watched them and trained herself to do that. And also, now that they're going to be defeating her, she's actually the leader of the Ten Rings, and she's controlling it, and she's adding girls to it. And it's just fantastic of what they're able to do with her character, and I absolutely love her character. And when she gets on the action, it's amazing. So she was also great. The Mandarin is, of course, fantastic. I'm not going to say he was one of the best villains, but the acting in his performance was very cool, though his character arc was a little bit weak, especially since he just died from this dragon thing. And then, likewise, the setup for this alien invasion with Shang-Chi and stuff, I'm excited for it. I hope we get to see the Ten Rings more in the MCU. So that's something I can't wait to see. And then the whole cameo with Wong and Abomination was cool, though I'm wondering how they were able to meet. It's because Hulk and Wong had a little relationship during the 5-year timeline. Like, how is that going to happen? So, that was a bit weird. But likewise, what I didn't like about the film, it has some issues. Likewise, I just feel like that when it does the flashbacks, it literally just cuts to a joke. And literally when it gets to the end of the third act, when the stakes could be as high as they could be, it cuts to a joke, and then it literally ends with Wong assembling them for something big. And it's like, that's not really the best way to end a film off. And I don't feel like I felt satisfied. So maybe, since they're making a Shang-Chi 2, that movie's probably gonna finish. It's probably gonna continue where the ending of that movie left off, where they were supposed to show us what happened, and it probably set up something big, but they just didn't know it yet until Wong told them to. But overall, I liked the film. I really enjoyed it. Definitely better than Black Widow. I feel like I have a lot more problems with it than Black Widow, but I really like this movie. And I would say, when it comes on Disney Plus in November, I'm definitely going to be rewatching it because it's a very good film. So that's my ranking of all 9 new releases of 2021, September 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram is Marvel6 and my TikTok name is Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my back section so you can follow me on all social medias. I'm also on Letterboxd. It's the same as Instagram, _6_, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.